Hello and welcome. I'm Watson Williams, and you're watching Cryptic Creations, where we bring you the not-so-obvious. And today we're going to talk about how to test for my alternative Big Bang theory and multiverse theory, which we will refer to herein as the inverted torus model, or ITM. I had initially thought to make this a separate video from the main video published last year for the purpose of building up suspense and simply branching out and letting my topics fill out in due course. Though in the interest of time constraints, I feel I can hold off on this presentation no longer. For an idea about the world to enter into the realm of science, it must be testable. It matters not how we feel about some conjecture as to the actual state of affairs. If no evidence can be brought to bear, then there is no connection to reality. This accepts, fundamentally, that anything that is true about the workings of the world is accessible both mentally and physically by human beings. To delve deeper into the inverted torus model of the universe, see my video, A New Version of the Big Bang Theory Emerges, a must-watch. The link is in the description. The test that I have devised for my model is in principle a simple one. Since ITM reveals an element of counterintuition and false conclusions in the modern cosmology, it is quite in line with the scientific revelations of the past. The overturning of flat Earth comes to mind, as well as the dethroning of the geocentric model. At one time, ideas such as these were zealously defended by learned men who pointed to the evidence, the indication of which was to them as clear as day. But as we find in nature, things aren't always as they seem, and evidence can be misinterpreted. We suggest that the prevailing cosmological model is based on sound evidence that has been misinterpreted, or rather overgeneralized. In the past, it has taken a fresh perspective and new tests and forms of evidence that have emerged over time to shift the prevailing wisdom to forms that more closely resemble reality. The ITM test relies on the Doppler effect and the well-established method of verifying universal expansion through the prevailing redshifting of light from other galaxies. We propose that cosmologists run extensive tests and compile data looking primarily for two things. One, a linear trend in the blue shifting of galaxies, and two, a planar dominance in the red shifting of galaxies. Admittedly, these are trends that are not obvious in the evidence at hand, but this doesn't necessarily mean that these trends are not there. In fact, we suspect that with the chaotic motion of galaxies, and with the relatively young age of the universe with respect to its total projected lifetime, these are trends that may be obscured for a long time to come. Moreover, these are trends in galactic motion, though they may not be apparent now. Moreover, these are trends in galactic motion that, though they may not be apparent now, may become apparent at some time in the future. So the ITM test is not a one-time thing, but actually a periodic testing of the cosmos that is indefinite until such time that positive evidence is detected. Evidence from Doppler testing that rules out or falsifies ITM can come, for instance, in the detection of some form of geometric trend not predicted by ITM, or in the case that testing were to continue into the old age of the universe and no trends as described were ever detected. ITM is vastly superior in rationalizing the very reason for expansion post-Big Bang. Remember, in the conventional Big Bang theory, there is no catalyst for the Big Bang. Show me the catalyst. Terence McKenna is quoted as having said that modern science is based on the principle, give us one free miracle and we'll explain the rest. The one free miracle is the appearance of all the mass and energy in the universe, and all the laws that govern it in a single instant from nothing. Even if we allow that matter can probabilistically and algebraically arise from the vacuum, there's still no good reason the material should fly out like that in the standard model. It's like saying that a gun fired itself in an empty room, because realistically we need some mechanism involving energetic considerations to justify why an expansion should take place. And ITM addresses this by saying that the Big Bang event was the moment the universe transitioned from an open system to a closed system, rendering sudden expansion a natural consequence of this fact. In the conventional model, the Big Bang theory comprises the entire spatial extent of the universe, and expansion is simply an observational reality and anomaly to the model, rather than something predicted by it. If ITM is true, then expansion follows naturally from our existing understanding of thermodynamics. Any closed system containing vast temperature differentials will homogenize. Theoretically speaking, any closed system with a portion of space that is curved more than the rest should likewise seek to smooth out so that spatial curvature also becomes homogeneous. These are the subtle realizations that reveal the archaic and quaint nature of the conventional model. The ITM model is highly curved and energetic at the singularity, but the system is initially open and fully extended, and upon closure this region of extremely high curvature and low entropy is rapidly smoothed out, and the material thereby dispersed, followed by a long period of what will seem like even galactic expansion from within, though all the while the ceiling is slowly coming down on us as homogenization progresses and as entropy increases. A special note about Terence McKenna is that just as he developed the idea of time as a wave from studying history and the discourse from studying history and his discourse with the sacred mushroom, I too developed a wave theory of time from a physical study influenced by my own sacramental excursions beyond the limits of the familiar. The relation between us, in particular, is that in True Hallucinations, Terence explains how the passage of time is like a wave, an interference pattern resonating with alternate timelines in the past. I agree with this completely, and find it fascinating that I am not the only one to have thought this, and I would simply add that time resonates both with the past and the future, for in my theory of time equilibrium, time is seen as a transverse and relativistic wave passing through a discrete chronon lattice containing all possible timelines. These chronons correspond to quantized states of the universe as particles of time in their own right. They are objects extended in 2 dimensions of time and form a lattice across the time field, a branching lattice. Chronons in the lattice interlock like gears in a clock, resulting in alternating rotational directions and a chaotic extrusion of the present across the lattice. Though not part of the main theory, I even had an idea for a fractal cascading of virtual time loops from the Big Bang, so to me, Terence isn't just someone who is interesting to listen to, but I know where he's coming from because I've been to similar places, psychologically speaking. The 2-dimensional nature of time is justified by what I call the Christmas Eve proof, so named for the day on which it was derived, which was it's an equality between the Lorentz time dilation formula for V over C and an alternate expression for the same, derived from my TE relativistic triangle extended not in space but in a time field. Relevant links can be found in the description. Regrettably, the spurting effect in the passage of time predicted by TE is invariant or normalized in one's own frame, and I am still looking to devise a viable experiment to test this theory. Difficulties for the main test begin with the need for popular awareness and the will to run the tests. This needs to be a collaborative effort, as results from a single group will not be convincing. And so the more scientists who know about ITM, the greater the chances are that enough researchers will get on board with looking for evidence that, if found, will overthrow much of what in cosmology is considered settled science. As touched on previously, planar dominance and expansion should become more pronounced as time progresses, but may not be detectable for quite some time. depending on the size of what is referred to as the main chamber relative to the bulk of galaxies. If the main chamber is sufficiently large, the false positive of even expansion will persist, and we may not detect planar dominance or axial compression yet for millions of years. Just to give you an idea of how much patience may be required for this undertaking. As a reminder, this is both there is both the motion of galaxies inside the universe as well as the expansion of space itself. And as long as galaxies are seemingly free to expand in all directions of their own accord unimpeded, any form or boundaries in the extent and expansion of space will remain obscured. Speaking on linear or axial compression, our position within the universe is important. If we are positioned along the axis, then it will be easier to detect the compression. However, if we are far away from this central axis, while there will be some compression everywhere in lines perpendicular to the plane, the most pronounced compression will occur out in space in some direction arbitrary to our location. Tests must be done in an unbiased manner and with integrity, for it is at least conceivable that there may arise parties with interests in suppressing or sabotaging experiments for a variety of motivations. Remain vigilant and always demand total transparency. ITM says that space in the universe was already at its maximum volume at the moment of the Big Bang, and that space was intensely curved towards what we know as the Big Bang singularity. And therefore, a second ITM test involves hunting for signals of spatial curvature in the early universe. If curvature can be detected soon after the first stars began emitting light, since space is measured to be flat within uncertainty today, it implies that space has lost curvature with the aging of the universe, which ITM predicts. There are other predictions and conceivable tests for ITM, however, much of ITM is still in the developmental phase. It is, after all, in the general sense, a multiverse theory requiring formal development. I don't know that I'm even up to the task, honestly, but I will give it my best shot. However, the test for the geometric trends and for early curvature will suffice to prove the legitimacy of the basic concept. Thank you for watching. I hope you're as psyched as I am after learning of this potential to make history and overturn or uphold a widely accepted paradigm and bring in a new age of understanding about our amazing universe. An age in which we are once again struck with wonderment at the unpredictable nature and surprising truths of the world around us. Please share this video, like it, and comment, subscribe, donate if possible, and stay tuned for more content. And by all means, if you are a professional researcher and wish to help develop the physics of ITM, please get in touch with me. I am also open to job offers and sponsorships. This is Cryptic Creations, signing out. Until next time, may you be well and free from suffering. Goodbye.